By the way, hi YouTube. Listen, I think okay, you know what? Real talk though, recently I've realized I may just be asexual. At first I was like, I don't want to really say that because TMI, but chat already know this. I have very, very low libido. I have friends who are either the same as me or the exact opposite. And I don't know what the to say. I was talking to one of my friends about this because I needed advice. One of my friend is, I don't want to be wrong about it because they never really said it, but it's either they have really, really high libido to the point that it bothers them, or they might have hypersexuality, which is a different thing. All right, I will always say this. People can joke about whatever, sure, be it, but hypersexuality is a problem and it does like bother you a lot. It's a genuine, serious issue, you know? So I will always be as supportive as I can be. If you want to like do whatever, I'll be supportive. But I have a friend that's like, Michi, how do you control your libido? And I don't know how to tell that. Like my shit's a preset. I don't know. It's like, what do you think about? Nothing. Bro, I don't know. Sometimes I kind of wish I have a higher libido because it kind of get a little bothersome every now and then. You got that libido? Diabolical, but true. That's why. It'd be tough because I don't be controlling shit, all right? I'm sadly just built wrong every now and then. I'll be honest though, there is a downside to having very low libido. And it's that sometimes, chat, when you just you want to feel the joy of beating your meat and you can't. That shit suck ass. This is not even like joke. I'm so dead serious, chat. You are in a constant state of blue balling when you are down bad. Like in your brain, you're like, oh man, I kind of feel like you know when you bust a nut and you feel happy, right? Sometimes you just don't have that. So you're like constantly blue balled and it's so fucking shit. Listen, here, that's the truth. Let me speak. Am I wrong? Me standing up, defending myself. However, I have recently realized that maybe I might just kind of be in the more asexual spectrum, or maybe I am asexual. I never really wanted to say it fully because I don't know. Like, am I asexual or do I just... Because I do have a hormonal imbalance. So I'm like, I don't want to like accidentally say the wrong thing. You know, I don't want to be like, oh guys, I am this. And then one day, if let's say I do get like treatments and then suddenly my libido is normal and it's different. I don't know. I kind of feel guilty because I don't want to... I think asexuality deserves the highlight that they do. And I don't want to be like, yoink, you know? You know what? I don't know how to word it. I don't want to say like I don't want to like dullify the meaning of it. I don't know. But you know what? I have said it's like I will just take shelter under the asexual umbrella because someone told me that it is kind of like an umbrella term. So I'll take shelter under here for now without being rude or disrespecting anybody. But everyone's been really nice. Yeah, it's like stolen valor.
Have you checked the side effects of your medications? Medications that affect the brain chemistry can lower libido.
So that's the thing. Yes, my medication does lower libido. But even before I took these medications, I've never had a high libido. I've never been the type of person with high libido. That's also why I don't really have that much experience because it's never really like... The curiosity has never really tickled me before. So I've never been like enticed to figure it out, you know? Well, like, I'm not saying like stolen valor because like, oh, I don't want to be. It's not that. I feel like I'd be disrespectful, you know? Like, I don't want to be disrespectful if one day I'm like, oh, I'm asexual. And turns out I might not be. I feel like I'm disrespecting the asexual community and I do not want to do that. So I try to be as like... I try to be as more polite about it. I forgot what the word demeaning means. Maybe. It's like I don't want to liquefy the term.
Sexuality can change. If your imbalance gets fixed someday and you acquire libido, it doesn't mean you lied. You just changed.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel guilty. You know that though, chat. I feel guilty a lot of the times. But I have talked to a lot of my sexual friends and they're like, no, that's completely fair. So I really appreciate...
As an ace, you are welcome to our umbrella as long as you like sin your heart.
I appreciate it. I will admit, I don't know a lot about asexuality. I literally learned that term from Haru last year. That was the first time Haru was like, maybe you're ace. And I was like, what, dad? I did do like some research, but I will admit, do I know a lot about it? No. I don't know much, but I am constantly learning. You know, I'm a constantly updating book, right? It's the same thing as a lot of stuff nowadays. I've said this to chat where it's like I'm at that age where I cannot just naturally absorb information. I have to consistently like remind myself and continuously like learn more for me to accept information as is because my brain is old. I've just gotten older, but it doesn't dullify the fact that I am trying. I don't know what is okay and what is not okay. However, I do realize I may just not really gaff about it. I talk about gaffing about it, but 90% of the reasons I'm like, man, I kind of want a lover. It's not because of what I want. It's just dead ass. It's the family. All right. It's the family. It comes from the whole, when are you gonna get married? And sometimes I'm like, you know what? I don't see the downside in it. You know, like if I were to marry somebody, it would be like someone that I can co-op life with. You know, that's why I'm like, that's love to me. Someone that you can genuinely just co-op life with makes life easier. Yeah. So sometimes when like my family's like, when are you gonna get married? Am I against the idea of marriage? No, absolutely not. I think I can still experience love. There's a lot of things that I find romantic, and I do want to fall in love with someone, but the biggest issue is that I am not as interested in sex. And sex and love is not the same, but I've heard a lot from people where it's like love without sex is really hard to maintain if sex is really important to you, and I get that. You know what I mean? Yeah, like I'm not saying everyone is like that, but sometimes when people are in a relationship and you don't really have the sex aspect, it can kind of be like a turn down. Like it's just not it. No matter how good of a chemistry you have, you know, you're like really in love, you guys talk really well, everything is perfect, it's just the sex part, it can really like shoot it down. So I get it. I'm not judging it.
Asexuality is different from aromanticism.
Yeah, I learned that from Haru too. I don't think I'm aromantic. I think I'm just asexual, which is what makes it harder, because you have to find a hyper specific type, right? Or like someone that is okay with that. So am I really in a rush? No, but my family does want to see something out of it, you know? Jade and animation have a cool... I saw that one. I've seen a lot. Michi gets a struggle. I feel so seen. I understand though. I think one of the craziest statement was, I was talking to someone about it and it's like, yeah, sometimes, right, when you're in love with someone, you just want that physical embrace. I get that. I'm not against like physical touch. It's just I do not see love in sex. And because of that, I'm not as enticed to have sex. And because of that, I don't just naturally want it. However, I understand that people feel wanted or needed when someone wants to have sex with them. And it's not a bad thing, you know, like being as vulnerable as you are and being that close with someone, being intimate with someone like that. It's a beautiful thing. And of course, you're going to feel more loved or more wanted or more attractive when you have sex. I fear I cannot provide that kind of feeling, right? You know what I mean? So because of that, I don't want to jump into nothing. It's difficult because especially when you're just talking to someone, some people will just say like, yeah, I'm okay with that. And then over time, they realize they're not. It is what it is. What conversation did I walk in on? I have no clue. We talk for the love of the game, man. Yeah, it'd be goofy. But yeah, the good thing is I'm not really in a rush. It's a normal convo. Aga. Asexuality. I've come to kind of realize certain things. Kind of interesting. You like to read doujin, but don't have that kind of desire. Why do you think a lot of my shit is like true love things, man? I love love. Like I love falling in love. The idea of like falling in love, being romantic, going out of a limb for somebody you care about, that shit hits me. But like sex in itself, I see as a filler. You know, it's like, it's a sport. Like when you love someone and you both like eating, so you guys like, you're like both foodies, so then you go and grab food together and discover different restaurants. Yeah, sex is like a sport to me. I'm a yearner, man. I'm not that horny. So it'd be different. Yeah, sex is not a main thing. However, I do understand that sex is very important. For like a good amount of people out there, sex is important. And one thing that I will say that I disagree with, some people say like, oh, if sex is that important to you, you're kind of like, that's shallow shit. That's not shallow. Like I see the beauty, because I don't have the want for it, I see the beauty behind it. And sometimes I can't help but also want to experience something like that. But I just don't. So I think sex is important. You know, it's fair that people find sex important. It's fun. You know, you feel more in tune. You can be vulnerable with someone and you feel safe. You feel good. You make another person feel good, which makes you feel better. It's a beautiful thing. So it's not like, oh, if sex is that important in love, then you're not really in love. I don't think it makes sense. I think love is whatever you want it to be. Love is your own choice. My love just has nothing to do with it though. But sometimes I do wish it does. Kind of want to see what the hype is all about. You know, like, why are you so eager? Well, it's true that happy family is good. Sex can come later. Yeah, it's different people different. And you know what? If I want people to be okay and respectful of me, my view, I will be
Sex
the same to your view.
Sex is simultaneously not the main thing in a relationship, but the presence of it, or lack thereof, can be a huge filter. Quite the conundrum.
It's one of those things that, it's like, okay, the way I see sex is like, in a relationship, it's like money, okay? It's like, love is the most important thing. Yes, but love does not put food on the table. You know, there are so many couples that I see that are like, they are so in love and they fit each other so well and they're perfect for each other, but then they fall apart because of financial problems. It happens so often and it sucks, but that's the truth. You know, stuff like that, it creates a rift. It's not like, oh, you don't want to have sex today? Cut out. It's not that. It's a buildup, right? Over time. It's like, it's a chip. And if the lack of sex starts chipping on you, it's gonna keep happening. And if you're together forever for a long time, that chip is gonna be big. So that's just one of those things, Chad. It's not the most important thing, but if someone does want something like that and you cannot provide at all, it's gonna start chipping, you know, and it's just gonna to over time. It's just one of those. I get it though. I get it. It sounds super complicated. Easiest thing is never to be in a relationship, man. Crazy. Are you scared of it? Because I'm asking, because I'm like that. Weirdly enough, I'm in a position right now where because of this, I do not want to impulsively get into a relationship. Because I know that if I do, it's just gonna hurt both of us, right? That's one. And second, I'm more hopeful because I've met people that are either alike, like the same like me, or they experience something similar, or they share similar like ideas, which makes me hopeful that there will be someone out there that will fit you. You know, you can love someone. Love comes in so many different shapes and forms. You know, like I love my friends. I love my friends a lot, but one day I'll love someone differently. It's not gonna be more or less than how I feel about my friends, but it's gonna be a different type of love. So I think you fall in love, you fall out of love, and that's normal. I'm mostly hopeful that one day, if it's meant to be, chat, then it's meant to be. And I'm not gonna force anything to happen just because I feel like it's the right thing to do. The only annoying part is some people might say like, this is probably why I'm never in a relationship, but you gotta understand, it's to protect everyone involved, okay? There are people that I've met that starts dating after talking for like 3 months. Or 6 months, and that's okay. But I can never do that. I can only date someone after I know for a couple of years. I'm talking like it has to be a year to 2 years. We need to really talk. Because I am not going to get into a relationship. Because I'm gonna be honest, I've met people that are like, no, I get it. Like, sex is not that important to me. And then a couple of months later, they're like, sex is important. Again, it's those tiny little chips that build up over time. And I need to know if someone is saying this because they think that it's not gonna impact it, or they're saying this because they know it's not gonna impact it, right? And I'm gonna be honest, chat, it's also to do with age. At one point, you don't have the time or energy to just around, find out no more. You don't want to get into a 4-year relationship just for it to fall apart, you know? Like, you're wasting 4 years.
Do not experience the down bad thing at all myself, least not without forming an emotional bond. But yeah, can be different for everyone. Good luck figuring yourself out.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's all I'm saying is it's no rush. You know, if you want to and find out, that's okay for you. Me personally, I'd rather not. I don't want to waste years and years of my life for something that I know is not going to be a forever, because I know damn well I'm a forever kind of guy. So if I'm with someone, I'm like, it's going to be forever, and 4 years later I realize it's not, then I am just sitting on a ticking time bomb. Why would I put myself in that situation? That is probably the only thing that I'm not scared about, but I will do my best to kind of avoid that. I would rather just kind of talk and get to know someone organically first, you know? Or just stay single. Low-key, just stay single, bro. I don't know. The downside ain't that bad. You're not wasting anything. Everything is fleeting in life. You know what's crazy? Heavenly was talking to me about that. I think a mindset like that is good, but I can't. I don't know why. I don't know. I do have some fear though. I think my biggest fear is disappointing the other person more than myself. Like, if I'm let down, I can handle it. But if I love someone and I let them down, I think it's over, guys. I don't know. That's my biggest fear. So I just don't want to hurt nobody. Love is beautiful, but man, it sucks. You know, it's one of those, it's like a gamble. Love is genuinely like fucking gambling. And one thing that I'm really scared about, I've noticed this, having someone break up with you is not scary, okay? Having someone, like, you see that they have been thinking about this for a long time and they're already detached from it before breaking up with you. Ooh,
humans
I don't
can change,
see that.
so even if you get into a relationship after years, people can and probably will change. Sometimes getting into something without thinking about it for too long can also work out in your favor, since
That
you
is
never
true.
know what can happen. It's one of those things where there genuinely is no right way to go about it.
Yeah, that is true. Actually, like, that's true, but I'm too scared to find out, you know? It's a gamble that I'm not willing to take. I fear. I've experienced that, bro. It sucks. I know. I think when it comes to certain feelings, I'm not gambling with it. I would rather not know. Live in complete ignorance, right? Sometimes I like to think that the idea of love is better than being in it. And I might be wrong, because again, like you said, people will change it. Maybe I'll change my mind, but as of now, sometimes I be laying in bed and I'm like, I feel like the idea of love is so much nicer than having to experience it, because there's always that fear, you know? I mean, there's not a fear, but it's like the possibility. Yeah, crazy. Opinions like that can't be wrong, to be honest. I feel like every opinion is rooted in something. This is you overthinking. Yes, I am very much afraid. I have been surrounded by people who either get into a lot of relationships or get in a lot of relationships. A lot of the people I know get into a lot of relationships. So from that, I see the beauty of it. But I also see how it ends. It kind of gets to you, you know? You're like, oh, that's crazy. We stay single, kings. I'm telling you, it'd be tough. There's a lot of factors when it comes to love. I think, me personally though, the biggest aspect, there is a situation where I will be like, you know what? It is worth it to take on the gamble, right? And it's if you know the other person has a mentality of like, it's us against the world type shit, but it's an organic thing. Like they genuinely are the type of person that's like, it's never me against you. It's us against whatever we're dealing with. And if I meet someone and I'm like, I know for sure that they have that kind of mentality, I would take the gamble. I would. But sometimes it'd be difficult. It'd be a little difficult because then you have to know someone in order to find that out. I've seen a lot of relationships fail because by the end of the day, people like to win arguments. That it's either people want to win arguments or they let a problem just sit for a little too long. They don't want to address anything, right? So then they just kind of let it sit. That's me. I'm the type of person that do that. So I damn know my flaws. Acknowledging it and then changing it. But
to quote
changing
one
it
of
later.
my favorite movies, Into the Spider-Verse, relationships like much of life is a leap of faith.
That is true. That is true.
The idea of most things is better than the actual experience. It's an unfortunate aspect of reality. That's why living for someone is harder than dying for them.
That is
Also
true.
fear.
Fuck fear. I've said this to my friends where I'm like, I want you to know I will live for you. And I think that's kind of sick nasty. But it's scary thinkage. Have you thought about that? I ain't leaping, bro. It's a leap of faith, but I'd be seeing a lot of my friends take that leap and I see a lot of my friends break their feet. So I'd rather not do that, I think. But I'm saying most of the relationships I see, like the fail of a relationship, it always boils down to people either thinking it's I want to win an argument. It starts there. Or they don't address something and it boils over, or they think like, oh, I've got you, so I'm not gonna make effort anymore. It's always one of those. That's really one of the biggest ones. It's like a pattern you start noticing, you know? Because eventually, when you're with someone for years and years, you're like, oh, I already have them. I don't need to really try that hard. It bites you in the ass, you know? And then in an argument, you kind of want to win. You want to be the person that's correct in the argument. You lose you win the argument, but then you lose the bigger picture, and it gets to you again. Blech. It's too complicated. Too much thought. Too much thought. I like to be the friend that
you
people
will
rely
always
on.
find a reason to
Aga.
talk yourself out of allowing yourself to experience that. If you always maintain an all or nothing mindset with love,
It's scary.
there will always be some reason to doubt.
Honestly, chat, I've said it's one of those things. I do talk myself out of it. Does it come from fear? Yes. I'm hopeful, but I do have a lot of fear when it comes to like relationships and shit, right? I've said this before. Recently, I am more hopeful than I am more afraid, which is pretty good. Kind of proud of that.
There is
What kind of
no
song is
reason
this?
to worry, Michi.
Aga.
Love is a confusing thing. It can happen in a day, or it can happen in years. All I know is that it comes naturally. I had a 15-year relationship and we both decided that we had different lives and broke up. I wasn't sad and it came to a bittersweet end. I will be fine and so will you, Michi and chat.
That's wow. You are like 10 times more of a person than I am, bro. I'm gonna be real with you. I'll die. Man. Leizu! I've said this before. This sounds like trauma dump, but it's not trauma dump because there's a positive end to the story, okay? But back then, my family don't be that kind of relationshipy. You know, it's hard to know what to do when you have
Trust
no
and communication
reference.
are the most important parts of a relationship.
That is true.
It goes hand in hand, but it takes time to build.
That is also true. 15 years, bro. When I was growing up, my parents were never like the relationship type. It generally felt like they got married for convenience more than anything. And even then, I don't see the convenience in it, so it's very confusing. But recently, my parents have been more together and they've been like trying to work on their relationship, and I'm very proud of them for it. But again, that is recent. So growing up, it's really hard for me to understand the joy and excitement of what a relationship is when you're not really surrounded by people that kind of showcase that, right? Like, my mom barely talks to my dad. My dad barely talks to my mom. When they do talk, it's very like a business thing. Or there is a point of a conversation. You know, no one just yaps recreationally, right? Like, people talk with a point. And once that point is like given, then the conversation ends. There is no like I love yous or romantic anything. It's everything is a thought, a problem, a solution, and then done. So it'd be tough to kind of know what to kind of do when you don't really see it. However, I am very proud of my parents. They have been like working on themselves and they have gotten closer. You know, recently this is so sweet, but in an effort to kind of rebuild a relationship, they do this thing once a week where they call it like a date day. Like on that day, no matter what, like you drop everything you gotta do and you just spend time with each other. And I think that's really sweet. Even though at first my mom hated the idea. She was like, I feel like it's a waste of time. But eventually they kind of see the benefits of it. So I'm very proud of them. That's why I'm like, I've been more hopeful about it recently. Back then I was more against it. Kind of, if you want to get into it, I'm always here to support you. You know, but if I have to get into it, I would rather not. Commitment and dedication is scary, not because of commitment itself, but because sometimes you're never sure what you're committed to, right? Like the idea of commitment is fine. It's just the idea of not knowing what you're committed to is fucking horrifying. So God forbid, you know? Like you give your 100% to someone that is giving you like a 10% every day, and then when you complain, they will start giving you like 100% for a couple of days, and they go back to 5%, and then you'll be okay with it because you're sitting here and you're like, oh, surely it'll get better. Aga, I've seen that happen too. That is fucking freaky. I'm committed to the bit. I am a very committed to the bit kind of guy. I fear that is probably why it's scary. I get that. That is why I never give too many percentages anymore. That's the thing. When you start, okay, you know what? I'll say this. I have a friend that went through the exact same, and they're like, that's why I'm not gonna give like my 100%. I hate to tell you, man, you will be the person. You will be the other guy now. You start by giving your 100%. You realize someone else never gave you their 100%. So you start lowering it down, and you meet someone that gives you their 100%, and now you're the other guy. That freaky. I'm a all or nothing. So I would rather just all or nothing it, you know? Michi, that is 100 to 90, and 90 become new normal until it's so low. Yeah. Honestly though, do I want to be with someone where I have to hold myself back? No, I'd rather not. That's the thing. If I were to be with someone, I know how things go. I would rather give 100% and have them like not reciprocate and be like, you know what? This is not working properly, compared to like I have to kind of lower myself. Because dude, if I'm in love with somebody, right? Like if I'm in love with you and I have to pretend like I'm not in love with you just so this feels more natural, I'd rather not be with you. Because, well, what the fuck? That makes no sense. If I'm in love with you, I want to be able to show how much I'm in love with you. The end. What does it mean to hold it back? Like, not give your 100%, you know? Even if, let's say it's like, let's say they don't give you their 100% and you start feeling exhausted, then I guess it's not meant to be. But I don't want to not all in it, because I don't want to be like, I could have done something differently. By the end of the day, if I were to get into a relationship chat and if it falls over, I want to know that I did everything I could and it wasn't a me thing. At that point, it was something that's inevitable. Someone is always going to find a flaw in you. The thing is, chat, you'll find someone eventually that will see your flaw as a good thing. They will see all the bad sides of you and be like, that is just who you are. That is part of the package, and they will accept it nevertheless. And that is the gamble in life. That's a gamble I'm not willing to take though, but it's a gamble that's beautiful in theory. Hell no. You know what is fun? Learning how to build Legos. Nah, love is great and all. Being in a relationship, that shit's nice, whatever. But have you ever, right, got your hands on a nice set of Legos and you built that shit? You wake up and you're like, I don't have to finish it today. I'm just gonna build it little by little. And one day, you finally put in your last piece of Lego, bro. And you step back and you're like, how did I get here? Whoa.